Hello. Um, I was asked by a counselor to offer a little story when I felt I was a little more strong enough. Um, Depression, anxiety, panic attacks, they are real. Um, when you have them, it can be brought on by so many things. Um, the most common, is the fear of losing someone, or feeling stalked, or something that builds inside you. Some people have social anxiety, which means being in a big, uh, for example, feast hall, or a big event, like cultural days, and you know the fear of a lot of people. Um, and there's panic attacks and anxiety um, that happens after a traumatic event, or a life-changing event. Um, in my case, 3 months ago, there, a life-changing event happened in my life, and you know, um, a couple of weeks after it happened is when it all hit me, and I broke down. It felt like I couldn't breathe. I just could not stop crying. I couldn't, stop shaking. Um, I went to the hospital. They gave me some lorazepam, and you know, um, we talked a bit, about antidepressants and things like that. And I don't like to take pills normally, um, but this went on for about 5 weeks. 5 weeks of nonstop crying every day, uh, the shaking, and it wasn't so much, I guess, like I missed her, and I sort of still miss her, but I've come to the realization that this is real. Um, but the the anxiety, it wasn't so much the impending losing her, whatever. It was more of, why is this happening? Um, some relationships end, mutually. Some end on somebody getting kicked out, or in my last previous relationship, um, I found out something that I didn't like. So we both mutually agreed that we would go our separate ways, and that was fine. Um, but in this case, it 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 was a little more harder for me to you know um, because at a certain point I started getting phone calls that weren't very pleasing, because I was already going through a lot of emotional problems, but getting those, um, and even going to town was very hard for me, because you know um, people would say things that they heard, and they just simply were not true. you know um, like, for example, I didn't lock her up. I didn't beat her. I didn't pull her down, the hallway by her hair. Uh, we had arguments. Um, we had some bad arguments. Um, and, I drank. And, the anger came out a little more than it should have. I would swear at her, you know, and that is no excuse. No woman deserves that. No person deserves that. But my anxiety came because, it felt like I couldn't go to town. I couldn't go to the hospital. I was waiting for pills one time, and two people I didn't even know pointed in my direction. I know because I was the only one there. They said, that's the guy who abuses his girlfriend. And I just couldn't do anything. I walked out. And my anxiety and depression and, panic came because, like, why is this happening? Somebody walks out of your life, they should just walk out and leave you alone, But sometimes that doesn't happen. So the point I'm trying to make is if you have panic attacks or if you have anxiety, don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I couldn't take it anymore. After 5 weeks of crying, I went to the hospital. A good friend of mine, and I look at him as a mentor. Took me to the hospital. I asked for antidepressants because this crying has to stop. And I'm on antidepressants now, and I'm not ashamed of it. I feel better about myself. And I still get anxiety, only because I'm trying to let go of what people say. I'm trying to let go of rumors or whatever. But I still let it affect me a little bit. But that's slowly dissipating. And, a big part of it is not having ill will. You can't have ill will to somebody because they're going through the same thing too. And that's one of the things I couldn't do because, she is going through just as hard, if not harder, time as well. So I'm not gonna put her down. I understand where she's coming from. I haven't put her down because of, she left or whatever, and I won't. But, so, going through a breakup, don't put each other down because it makes somebody else feel a little more pain than they should, and a little more anxiety. And anxiety, it raises your blood pressure. It creates a fear. Like, why is this happening? It's a flight or fight response, and most times than not, people would just want to walk away from it, and they're carrying all this pain and this confusion and this hurt. So when you see somebody in pain, or if you think they're in pain, say something. Don't just brush them off, or if you can't do that, just kind of like empathize. Let them know where you're coming from. So and depression. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I suffer from depression a bit because, you know, um, I feel like I could be doing so much more, but, you know, you take it one day at a time, and that's what I'm doing. So, I really hope this helps people understand panic attacks and anxiety. Just because you have it is nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing to hide from, or you know, say I don't have it. If you're having bad thoughts, if you're you know, you feel like, you know, it's all over, or why am I doing all, you know, why am I going through the motions of life or whatever, go talk to somebody. Help is there. Crisis lines used to be my best friend, and if that's what, you know, some people need, and if they want to stay anonymous, there's crisis lines you can talk to. Call a friend. You know, if you guys feel comfortable or whatever, you know, I'm there. I couldn't really talk to my family because, you know, they thought it was just, and it is all in my head. They just said snap out of it, or, you know, but you can't. You just can't sometimes. I was very fortunate. I had some people that understood it, and you know, they took it seriously, and I take it seriously. So don't be ashamed, and don't feel like you're undeserving of love, because you do. You're worth love. You're worth everything to somebody. So don't give up. Love you guys. Take care now. And I really hope this helps. If it just touches one person out there, thank you. Take care.